Hello everybody, welcome to my course, How to Remember the Vocabulary You Learn. Overview. This course is meant for all those who are appearing for the GRE, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS exams and for all those who wish to improve their English comprehension skills. Answer to riddle number 3. Do you remember what it was? I suck. What am I? The answer is vacuum. I'm sure you got it. While we are smiling, let's move on. Lesson number 4 is NASA Sun Probe. That's the topic. NASA sending probe to touch the sun. Here's why. It's written by Rachel Hartigan Shea. Listen to this article. All the words which are going to be used for vocabulary are highlighted. Remember 3 simple tricks. One is to learn the words in opposites. You remember it longer. 2 is when you start building up words, playing it like a game, like in Scrabble, word search or hangman. It becomes much more interesting. 3 is use your imagination. Use the word in a stupid sentence or in a crazy joke or a poem. You will remember the words much longer. So, I will start reading now. The sun's searing heat has made a mission into the star's atmosphere impossible until now. NASA has embarked on many successful missions, from rocketing astronauts to the moon to launching the first spacecraft to reach interstellar space. But it hasn't yet sent a mission to the sun. The deterrent, our nearest star's searing heat. The surface of the sun is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but its outer atmosphere, the corona, soars to some 3.5 million degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature inversion is a big mystery that no one has been able to explain, says Nicola Fox, project scientist for the Parker Solar Probe, the NASA mission that aims to finally get close to the sun. Today, NASA announced that for the first time in its history, a spacecraft is being formally named after a living person. Previously known as Solar Probe Plus, the Parker Solar Probe was renamed for Eugene Parker, the astrophysicist who discovered solar wind in 1958. The mission is made possible by a shield constructed from a carbon-carbon composite which will keep the probe's instruments safe in the 70-degree range. Launching as early as July 31, 2018, the probe will take 24 orbits of the sun. It will get within 4 million miles of the star with a gravitational assist of 7 Venus flybys. That's close enough to find answers to the sun's other big mystery. What creates the solar wind? The charged particles that accelerate from the sun and wreak havoc on Earth's electrical systems. Read How Sun Watchers Stopped World War III in 1967. We see the sun every day, but we don't know much about it, says Fox. The sun is the last major place for us to go. The second topic is How Sun Watchers Stopped World War III in 1967. As an intense solar storm interrupted radio and radar communications, scientists and military leaders scrambled to decipher the cause. This is written by Aaron Sider, published August 11, 2016. On May 23, 1967, on duty, officers at the U.S. Strategic Air Command, SAC, were huddled in an underground command center outside Omaha. They had less than 30 minutes to determine if a sudden bout of radio and radar interference was a natural event or Soviet subterfuge masking a nuclear attack. Al Buckles was the emergency action controller on duty that day at SAC. As soon as he got word of the apparent radio jam, he and the SAC Emergency Actions Team, which included senior officers, were on the phone with NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command in Colorado Springs, and the National Military Command Center at the Pentagon. The US radars that had gone on the Fritz were part of the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, which was dedicated to scanning the skies for incoming Soviet missiles. Even if no missiles had been fired intentionally, jamming this early warning system would have been seen as a potential act of war during the politically tense climate of the Cold War. As the team dissected the information flowing in, airplanes used as mobile command and control centers and bombers loaded with nuclear weapons awaited their directive. The president was just a phone call away. In short, if the team determined that the Soviets were to blame, the next actions might have sparked global devastation. Thankfully, no call was placed on that day and the plane stayed grounded. After about 10 minutes, Buckles and his colleagues determined that the radar jamming was a natural occurrence. A strong solar flare had bombarded a planet with a burst of charged particles, creating geomagnetic disturbances that disrupted radio communications. It was a near-miss event, says Dolores Knipp, a space physicist at the University of Colorado, Boulder, who recounted the tale publicly for the first time this week in a new paper in Space Weather. The Great Storm. Solar flares happen when the sun suddenly releases built-up magnetic energy from its atmosphere. If a particularly strong eruption is aimed at Earth, electromagnetic radiation can slam into the upper atmosphere and cause radio interference. The Great Storm of 1967 was one of the strongest recorded solar storms in history, triggering auroras as far south as New Mexico, according to a May 26, 1967 report. In addition, bursts of solar particles known as coronal mass ejections can follow a flare, and these streams of solar particles can continue to impact communication for days. That was the case for the 1967 storm. Some of these CMEs get funneled into polar cap regions, and we end up with polar cap blackouts, says Knipp. In 1967, this happened and continued for 4 days, hump after hump after hump. Crucially, the Great Storm happened just a year after the Air Weather Service Solar Forecast Center issued its first space weather forecasting manual. At that time, a solar forecasting team was issuing weekly forecasts operating around the clock and pulling data from 4 solar observatories in the US as well as facilities in Greece and the Philippines. Solar observation had only picked up steam in the military a few years earlier following the launch of the Soviet satellite Sputnik 1 in 1957. We move on to vocabulary. The first word is embarked, which is a verb. The actual word is embark, but the past tense will make it embarked, which means begin a course of journey. In a sentence, he embarked for India in 1817. Synonyms, similar meaning words, begin, start, commence. Antonym is the opposite, disembark, land. Next word, deterrent, is a noun, meaning a thing that discourages or is intended to discourage someone from doing something. In a sentence, cameras are a major deterrent to crime. Synonyms, similar meaning, disincentive, discouragement, brake, curb. Antonym is the opposite, which means incentive, encouragement. Moving on, next one is scrambled. The word is scramble. It's a verb. The past tense will be scrambled, meaning order a fighter, aircraft, or its pilot to take off immediately in an emergency or for action. In a sentence, the Hurricanes were scrambled again, this time meeting Italian fighters. Synonym: shuffle, commotion. Antonym: order, organization. Next word, huddled, is a verb. Actual word is huddle. Past tense will make it huddled, which means crowd together, nestle together. In a sentence, they huddled together for warmth. Synonym: crowd, gather, throng, flock, herd, pile, bunch, cluster, collect, group. Antonym: disperse, stretch out. Next one is bout, which is a noun. A short period of intense activity of a specified kind is the meaning. Sentence: occasional bouts of strenuous exercise are good for the body. Synonym: spell, period, time, session. Antonym: stagnation. Next, subterfuge is a noun. Deceit used in order to achieve one's goal. In a sentence, he had to use subterfuge and bluff on many occasions. A synonym would be trickery, intrigue, deviousness, evasion, deceit, deception, dishonesty. Antonym would be honesty, fairness, frankness. Moving ahead, fritz is a noun of a machine stopped working properly. Our TV went on the fritz for 2 weeks. Synonym: on the blink, kaput, haywire. Antonym: functioning, operational, running. So that's called a fritz, going haywire. Dissected, adjective, having been cut up for anatomical study. In a sentence, the botanist used a blade to dissect and study part of the withering plant. Synonym: cut, sever, dismember. Antonym: connect, unite, join. Flare, noun, a sudden, brief burst of bright flame or light. In a sentence, the flare of the match lit up his face. Synonym: blaze, flash, dazzle, glare, burst. Antonym: remain calm, keep one's temper. Auroras is a noun, a natural electrical phenomenon characterized by the appearance of streamers of reddish or greenish light in the sky, especially near the northern or southern magnetic pole. The effect is caused by the interaction of charged particles from the sun with atoms in the upper atmosphere. In northern and southern regions, it is respectively called aurora borealis or northern lights and aurora australis or southern lights. Last one, hump means a noun, a rounded protuberance found on the back of a camel or other animal, or as an abnormality on the back of a person. In a sentence, his back rose into a kind of hump at the base of the spine. Synonym: protuberance, lump, bump, knob, protrusion, prominence, projection. Antonym would be straighten. This brings us to the last part of our lesson, riddle number 4. I am used when you jump off a bridge for fun. What am I? The answer you will find in the beginning of lesson 5. Once again, I'm used when you jump off a bridge for fun. What am I? I'm sure all of you can guess this. Thank you for watching. Share this with your friends. Do write to me with your comments, suggestions and feedback. I would love to hear from you all. Bye for now.